9 weeks until the end of the season, which means in 9 weeks' time, we will know exactly which 3 teams are dropping out of the Premier League into the Championship. But right this second, we have no idea. There's a massive relegation battle on, and West Ham are right in the middle of it. So we're here to discuss it. We're going to take a look at all 8 teams involved, give us a quick thought on each one, and have a little bit of fun at the end of it with a little prediction as to, at this point, who we think is going down, which will probably change after the next round of fixtures, because that's the way it is this season, which is good for the neutral, but bad if you're involved in it. Gonzo, is there a team in particular you fancy kicking off with?
Well, yeah, actually, what is one that sticks out? So I'm looking at the league table right now, and if you go onto Google and you just put in Premier League and click on table, it gets this really interesting bit, and it's done, which gives you the last 5 games of form, and it does it in picture form. So you've got a little red X for a loss, a green tick for a win, and then it's like a grey dash in the middle for a draw. So it's very easy to see as you look down it in the last 5 games who's doing okay and who's doing badly. And there's 2 teams that stick out. We'll start with the first one here. So I think it's fair to say that it's from Aston Villa down. Aston Villa got 38 points, who are in 11th. Then 12th, we have Crystal Palace, who have 27 points. And then the bottom team are Southampton with 23. There's nothing in it, as you can see. The 2 teams that stick out who haven't had a win, actually it's 3, sorry, haven't had a win in their last 5 games are Crystal Palace, Leicester City, and Nottingham Forest. I want to start with Leicester, if it's okay. They shouldn't be down there. And funny enough, we've already discussed this today, Gio, when we talked about the too good to go down. And we weren't saying that anybody is. We were talking about a West Ham sort of under Glenn Roeder. I do still think they're too good to go down. I think there's been points, possibly even last season, when Iheanacho has scored well and looked a threat. And I only mention him because I do think that Vardy is a spent force. I think he's done remarkably well. But when your game is based on pace, when it goes, you go. He's not Teddy Sheringham. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's Michael Owen in that sense. And once it's gone, it's gone. But I do think James Maddison plays a massive role in that team, Gio. And whilst they're down there, I just can't see them going down. It's very tight between us and them. Their goal difference is 1 better than ours. They got 1 more point than us, but they have 4 losses and a draw in their last 5 games. But despite everything that I said about James Maddison and whatnot, their form is not good.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. When I watched them, they're so uninspiring. You know, it's just they used to play some decent football. And like you said, with Maddison, Barnes as well. I'm a big fan of Barnes. I think they'll stay up, though. I think Tete was a very good signing for them in January. You know, between Iheanacho and Daka, they should be able to fire their way out of there. And I always say, I believe that they're too good to go down. I believe it usually turns out to be correct. Not always. Yeah. Usually it does, and I think that will be the case with Leicester. I think their fan base are really unhappy at the minute. They want Rodgers gone. They're convinced they're going to get relegated with him at the club, and it's hard to disagree with them. You know, we can't sit here and say that about Moyes, then look at Leicester and go, well, hang on a minute, he's an all right manager kind of thing. You can't have it both ways, and it's just gone a little bit stale. It's just gone stale for them. I think in the summer transfer window, they really struggled. Remember, they had to sell players before they could buy. They couldn't bring anybody in. They couldn't do anything. They were really stuck. They had Wesley Fofana wanting to go to Chelsea, and they were like, well, we can't get anyone in until he disappears, and we don't know if he's disappearing yet, kind of thing. Their whole season preparation was just an absolute howler. So Rodgers sort of had one hand behind his back from day one, but he should be doing a lot better with his squad he's got at his disposal. And I think they'll stay up, but they're very much in the thick of it. And they need to start turning it around soon. We played them on the last game of the season as well, which is going to be a little bit of an awkward one. But when we did the Crystal Palace video, and I said about how part of me is rooting for Leicester a little bit, so we go there, they've got nothing to play for, and someone said, yeah, but what happens if we go there and both need a draw to stay up? And I thought, ooh, I like a bit of that.
Oh no! Anyway, I can't bear to even think about it. I haven't even thought of that before. Yeah.
So Nottingham Forest, then they're the other team. I tell you what, they're like not sinking like a stone because they're not, but they sort of went through. They sort of just started off at the very bottom of the Premier League, and they just sort of shot themselves. But they climbed up pretty steady. They sort of got up to like, I don't know, 13th in the league or something. Stayed there for a couple of weeks, and it feels like they're just steadily starting to head back towards the relegation zone. You know, the worst away form in the Premier League. They're very reliant on what they do at home. I think we're not really like that, which you could argue is a bad thing, but because it means the London Stadium isn't necessarily a place teams fear to come to. But that things like losing in the last minute to Newcastle at home is a real kick when you're down the bottom, and that can really demotivate you and stuff. So I think the Forest have got I think Cooper's got a big job on his. I thought he'd do okay. I thought they'd do okay this season, but I don't know. I just got this feeling that they're in it, Gonzo.
Yeah, I think they're going down. I think, you know, you talk about their home games and just looking at their home games now. At home, they've got to play Manchester United. So at that basic Man United going to Nottingham Forest, which is, you know, obviously not going to be easy. Brighton are going there, which is not going to be easy at all. Arsenal go there as well. Yes, Southampton do, but you're not looking at a load of winnable games. And you also factor in they've also got to go away to places like Aston Villa, to places like Liverpool and Chelsea. I think they're down, actually. I think they're down. I would be quite happy.
I've got them in my three as well. I've got them in my three.
With Southampton as well, which we'll cover next, maybe.
Somewhat reluctantly. I feel like they could get out of it, though. I think they've improved a little bit since getting rid of Nathan Jones. I think defensively they've got a bit better. I think they've got some good players there, and if they were to go down, we were to stay up, I think Declan Rice's replacement is at that club.
Lavia.
Yeah, he's the one that I would love to see us spend big money on, can get him in and replace Declan, but that's a different video. But I think the thing, I mean, I was gutted, obviously, naturally, when they came back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3 with Tottenham. And they just seemed to have that bit of grit about them in the last few weeks that they didn't really have under Nathan Jones. So there's an element of me that's thinking they'll get out of this, but there's also part of me that thinks they still don't have a striker. They don't have that goal scorer that they need. They've got people, they've got personnel, they've got strikers, but the goal scorer, they're really lacking that at the minute. And they've also played a couple of games more than us, for example. And I'm just thinking, I do wonder if maybe they're just going to run out of time a little bit. So I'm going to have them in my three, but almost with a little bit of hesitation.
Yeah, well, yes, I've got them to go down, actually, because they've got some time. They say their last game of the season is against Liverpool, and Liverpool may well have got themselves into a situation where they're, even if they're not the Champions League, Liverpool's last game of the season, they'll be going for European football. So it's not like that'll be a dead rubber. Game before that, they got Brighton. They're away to Brighton, which again, they might be fighting out for something like that. It's going to be tough. They've got to travel to Newcastle. They've got to travel to Arsenal. I think the big one is us. If we beat them, or let's say, no, actually, just forget about us. All right, they're playing us. If they don't beat us, and then their next game is Manchester City, I think you could just forget it. Actually, I really do, because they're already 2 games down on everyone else, and their goal difference is shocking. So, and they have a point less. You put 2 games less. Played 2 games more, have a point less. Goal difference is not good enough, and they play. Yeah, I think it's they're playing some tough games. I think they're down, mate.
One team you're not convinced is going down, though, is Bournemouth. You seem to be impressed by them whenever you tune in.
I really like it. Yeah, I like what I see. I think it just works. I think the whole combination works. I like the stadium, little stadium, nice and loud. The fans are really behind, but the fans are not down on their luck. That's one thing I'm noticing. That ground is not. I watched the Nottingham Forest game the other day, and it seemed like the fans were depressed. Do you know what I mean? Whereas what I saw from I've seen just bits of games, the Leeds fans are up for it. You can see that the Bournemouth fans are up for it. The team is fast. They've got real energy. Billing is dominating midfield in there. They look like they've got some goals in them. And they look like they can trouble anyone on the break. Bournemouth look like we should look on the break, because they have so much pace there. I'm just looking at their matches now. Yeah, I mean, they got some interest, but you don't know what's going to happen with Tottenham because you don't know what they're going to do with. I mean, we play Bournemouth as well. We have to go down there to that sneaky, naughty little stadium down there as well. They're playing Palace. They're playing Everton. They're playing Leeds. They're playing us. It's going to be interesting. I think they've got it. Honestly, I really do. I think they've got enough in them. I think they've got enough pace. They've got enough vibrancy. I think the crowd, their fans are still with them. I think he does enough. And to be fair, in their last 5 games, Gio, they got 2 wins. They carry that on. They probably only need 4, 5, maybe. Can they get 4? Absolutely, they can get 4 wins. I think they're going to be safe.
Yeah, I think they'll stay up as well. I've been impressed by them. They just got that little bit of grit, that little bit of aggression they need. They've got a bit of pace out wide. Don't attack very often, but when they do, they can do all right. Very, very poor against Aston Villa. If they do go down, it's because their defence just isn't good enough. They concede a lot of shots, they concede a lot of chances, and that's a dangerous thing to do. But they've got goals in them, which is not what not every team around there. I can look at and feel that every team's capable of scoring. But with Bournemouth, I've always got this feeling that they're capable of just getting a couple of goals and grinding out results. Everton got Dyche in. The feeling at the time was that's them safe. It's been a little bit of a bumpy start for him. A couple of good performances, a couple of poor ones. But do you think they'll just have enough to stay up?
I do, actually. I do. I mean, and tellingly, I mean, they say, look, at the point we're not going to pretend we're doing anything other. Myself and Geo, we've taken some suggestions for videos from you lovely people. And thank you very much. In fact, this one was suggested by Oswell. So thank you very much. So we're basically recording a series of videos on the same day. So it was rumoured today, on the day that we're actually recording these. What is it today? Thursday, isn't it?
Thursday,
that Tottenham might be dealing with Conte today. That's the rumour. That's the suggestion. So by the time you watch this, may well be that Conte's got the sack. I don't know. But Everton's next game is against Tottenham. Then Everton play Manchester United. It could get interesting for them. But then they got Fulham. They got Crystal Palace. Newcastle, but that's at Goodison Park. They play Leicester, Brighton. They got Man City. I think Everton are staying up. I do. I think he's got them scoring as well, which is a good thing for them. I know they've taken a tonkin against Arsenal 4-0, but also that they beat Arsenal as well, if you remember before that. I think by and large, I quite like it. Tarkowski and Connor Cody, they're good characters, good personalities as well. Seems to have them playing a little bit, got them scoring some goals. So I think they're safe.
Yeah, I think they'll stay up. It's the Dyche effect for me. I think he's got them harder to beat, organised, hard-working. I think they'll be okay. Seen them against Chelsea, did well to get a point from that game, but under Lampard, they would never have come back in that game. So Dyche's got them just having a bit more of a spine to them, and I think they'll be okay. I think Everton will stay up. Leeds United?
Yeah, they got 2 wins in their last 5. In fact, they've only lost 2 of their last 5. So they are absolutely going in the right direction. They've only got -9 goal difference. They got a little spring in their step. I think. I know Wolves got the red card and the rest of it, but that was a bit of a humdinger, that game. Scored 4 in that game. They put 2 goals past Brighton. They only lost by a single goal to Chelsea. They already beat Southampton. They beat Southampton 1-0. I think the crowd, the stadium's buzzing as far as I can see as well. They are. I think they're a club with their tail up, actually, Geo, and they're only -9 goal difference. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I always say new manager bounce isn't always guaranteed, but it has worked at Leeds United. Yeah. There's definitely been an upturn there. I think they've got the most exciting attacking player out the teams down the bottom with Nonto. When you watch him, he's just turning players inside and out. And when you've got a player that's able to do that, that's worth goals, and goals are worth points. So they need to keep him fit. But providing they do that, providing they continue as they have been in the last few weeks, I'm in agreement with you. I think they'll stay up, and I think it'll be not comfortable for them, but I think they'll pull away by a few points and just stay a few points away from the relegation zone between now and the end of the season. They needed changes. They've done changes, and it's working for them. One team that I actually expected to be down the bottom of this table at the start of the season, but then they sacked Bruno Lage. Lopetegui came in. I thought, well, that'll sort it out, but it hasn't really. They're still just lingering. And you look at Wolves and think they'll be okay. They've got some really good players, but they've been there for the whole season. They haven't dropped down or anything like that. They've, unlike Leicester and West Ham, they've changed their manager, yet they're still lingering just outside the relegation zone. That defeat to Leeds was a massive one for them at the weekend. Things are not looking good at the Molineux.
No. I mean, as we've been doing this video, I'm checking, I'm looking, and I've been aware we'll get to West Ham at some point. So it's been factored into my thinking as we're going down here. I think a lot of the clubs we've discussed will finish above Wolves. I think Leeds will finish above Wolves. I think Everton will finish above Wolves. Bournemouth could finish above Wolves. They got minus 19 goal difference. There's other clubs, as I say, Leeds have got -9. Leicester have got -9. That's not a great goal difference for them. They've lost 3 of the last 5, one drawn 1. I think they're plummeting, and I will say this now as a little bit of a spoiler for the end of the video. Obviously, you already know if you've been paying attention that I already have 2 teams in the bottom 3, Southampton and Nottingham Forest. I think it's either us or Wolves for that next one, basically. So yeah, I almost fancy everybody else, as I say, Everton, Leicester, everyone else to finish above Wolves.
Yeah, can't score goals. They can't score goals. They've not got a striker. Cunha finally scored, but via a massive deflection. But it's a dangerous game they're playing. It's a dangerous game. They shouldn't be there with the players they've got. But you could say that about a lot of clubs. This is, I've seen someone say, this is why the Premier League's so good. You look at teams in relegation battle, you look at the technical ability on show. You've got Maddison, Tielemans at Leicester, you've got Paqueta and Rice at West Ham, you've got Neves and Nunes at Wolves. It's like, what's going on here? These are top players. Crystal Palace, we've discussed in depth in a previous video, so I don't want to get into it too much because we've done it quite detailed. But to summarise, you think they'll be fine under Roy. I think they're in danger under Roy.
Yeah, it's not fine. It's not that they're not in danger. It's just ultimately, do I think they'll stay up?
They've got the biggest say in the relegation battle though, because of their fixtures.
Yeah. They'll flirt. They'll flirt. I think Leeds will finish above Palace, for instance. But ultimately, I do think they're. See, the thing is, this is where the little point comes in different. So I spoke about Southampton earlier, 23 points. That's 1 point less than Bournemouth, -23 goal difference. Played 2 games. Well, I think there's so many things that if you're going to factor that negative stuff in, we also have to factor in that Crystal Palace have 27 points and their goal difference is about in the middle of those teams. If we consider this is a league all on its own now, their goal difference isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. Crystal Palace need 3 wins. And when you look at I'm not even going to click on and look at it again. I've just done it, as you say, I've done it in depth.
It's everybody in the bottom 8. They play everybody in the bottom 8.
Yeah. So basically, can Crystal Palace get 3 wins out of that? Yes, they can. And so yeah, not because I think Hodgson's Pep Guardiola, but I think there's enough there. There's enough good defenders. There's enough pace and power in the team, and they do have people who've not been utilised properly. They have a goal scorer? No, they don't. But maybe unlike Wolves, they do have a player within that squad who can probably score them 4 or 5 goals between now and the end of the season. That may well be enough to win those games. Then
there's obviously us. We won't discuss us. You know our thoughts on West Ham. So your 3 to go down are Southampton, Forest.
Well, I can't not discuss. I think it will be us or Wolves. Do I want to? It's not a case of not wanting. I don't know. I mean, that's not me sitting on the fence. I think that's what it comes down to. Who's
Wolves' fixtures while you're at your computer? Who's Wolves got? I'll be honest with you, I'm undecided. I've got Southampton and Forest, but I'm really undecided on my final one. I've always been in Palace, but I don't want to just be stubborn, so I'm trying to.
Okay, well, the next 2 games are crucial, and I am our sort of must win. I am fully aware that I've been sticking the catchphrase "must win" on games all season, and clickbaiting videos up. So I'm not saying it for the sake of it. I think the next 2 games are crucial. I've almost looked at those on every club. Wolves play Nottingham Forest. They're away to Nottingham Forest in their next game, and then they are home to Chelsea. They then play Brentford, Leicester, Palace, Brighton, Villa, Man U, Everton. Last game of the season is against Arsenal. Arsenal pretty damn good this season, by the way. Arsenal could be home and host by then. I would not put that part of the way the league is at the moment, despite Haaland scoring 1 million goals every game. Yeah, Wolves is. It's going to be really tight, but I factor us into that, Geo. Our next 2 games are crucial. I mean, I almost think there's almost no way back for us in many respects if we lose to Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that. Is it true? No, there is a way back, but I also feel that the Southampton games like make or break. Really,
Yeah.
win.
But it's not one of those draw ones. He can't do that draw thing with it.
No, he can't.
He has to beat Southampton. One of our games in hand is away to Man City. Who, what I've just said about Arsenal, are going to be kept honest all the way until Man City. There's just no way of winning that game. Moyes is not capable of beating Manchester City.
I've written it off.
Yeah.
And then the one thing you have to factor in, which we haven't, is we've got European football and nobody else does. So that's another thing. I'll say Southampton, Forest. I'm just going to say Palace because I'm really stubborn and I predicted it for a while, so I'm just going to be stubborn and stick Palace. But I've yet to see anything from them to change my mind. I've only seen things to back me up, which is they're in trouble. So Southampton, Forest and Palace for me. Anyway, it's a little bit of fun, but do get involved in the comments. Give us who you think is going to get relegated. It can change next week. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's important to reevaluate your opinion when you're presenting new data. Every weekend you get new data, you reevaluate. It's important. It's a bit of fun. Get involved. Let us know who you think at this current point in time is getting relegated from the Premier League.
I'll tell you what, Gio, let's do it again. After if I say 2 games are important, let's do this again after the next 2 round of games.
We'll do that then. We'll do that. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on Skype Damage Chat. Check out the Hammer Chat forum channel as well. Like I said, this is one video in a 6-video series from your suggestions. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in a bit.